Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 139 of Dissonant Ways. My name is Dominic. Bits and Tricks are here as well.
Hello, this is a speedrun episode. Let's go.
That wasn't what I expected to hear. That was a vibration noise, Tricks.
Sorry, my. Give me a second. I gotta just mute my
Meanwhile,
put my phone on silent because I'm on a shitty phone right now.
while you do that, we are covering a bunch of things. We are covering Animusic 1 and 2. Those are Tricks picks. I picked Dog Park Dissidents, the Pink and Black album, as well as Janelle Monáe's The Age of Pleasure. And Ritz picked Keratin's Only Eye EP, Freezer's I Do My Part By Not Killing Spiders EP, and Feeble Little Horse's Girl with Fish.
That was the fastest entry that Dominic's ever done for this. This
And
is
indeed.
the absolute speedrun of it. Well, if we're going to be speedrunning this, let's just go into the albums and let's do how all speedrunners do it and do the ones that we had the least to talk about. We'll go with Dog Park Dissidents.
Yes, the Pink and Black album.
We've covered this already.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very strange that I picked their EPs to do, and then right after we did that, they announced the album version of them. It's kind of a weird little happenstance. So we covered it again. It is the same tracks. They are re-recorded, but it's pretty much all of their discography in one album.
Yeah,
It's not really re-recorded that differently, though.
it's not.
There are subtle differences here and there. You can tell that they tried to amp it up a little bit, maybe make it cleaner in some places. The song that stands out the most to me is Good Boy. The opening guitar part is definitely changed. It's more of a, I don't know, it's strummed better. It's not as electric sounding. It's a little gentler. So there's little bits and pieces like that. If you've heard them enough, you'll kind of pick up on it. But there are still the same problems that these songs have had. There's still the same positives that these songs have had. I think their discography so far is nice. But you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Jesus died.
I've taken a rip off a cigar.
Fair enough. I come out of this listening to an album. I think I applaud them for doing a compilation album in this and at least rearranging the track order so that they go like, okay, well, at least it's not just putting all the songs in there. Maybe there was some kind of an attempt to make them flow in this, but in the end, it's just re-releasing all the songs. The best thing on here is still the cover of Toxic.
I agree.
I like the cover of Toxic. I think this time around, kind of hearing it all in a different context, my least favorite is definitely Trans Starship Feminist BDSM Paradise. That song just is so sloppy to me, and the words jump all over themselves, and that can be messy and fun, but God, I like the message. I do not like how they deliver it.
Yeah, I really hoped to like this band a lot more from a band that will do a song title as RuPaul's Frack Race. It's still honestly one of the funniest titles, and I get disappointed by listening to the actual songs. I just want for more still, but yeah, I mean, I don't even really have this as a band to look out in the future. Maybe they're just gooder in the future.
Yeah,
It's something to put everything together, but it's also hard when these EPs were all done years apart, and there's definitely an evolution to them, but it's hard to kind of have them really sequence together when the evolution kind of becomes all over the place and it all kind of sounds muddled. Like,
yeah,
you can kind of tell when they were trying to be a little more edgy and like fuck you kind of thing, and then when they kind of went into something that was a little more nuanced and interesting with still kind of retaining that fuck you anarchist kind of thing. Like Rainbow Drones, I don't think is a song they would have put on later maybe EPs. Like, it's a decent song, but it's like, let's really try to get out there and strike something. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I the band to expect more from. I'm disappointed there is no new song at all, not even their last single. Like, I feel like something could have like elevated this. Even the song they did for the Never Erased compilation could have been nice on here. But I didn't expect this to really cover this very long, so it is what it is.
It exists.
Listen to what we had to say the first time, I guess.
I still like it overall, but it is, about as good as you would expect the songs rearranged to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, my thoughts haven't changed. So if you want my favorites and least favorites, just go to the last time we did this.
I don't think you were on that episode, actually.
Maybe was I not?
I don't believe so. This is actually your first time actually talking about them on air.
yeah.
If I haven't given my thoughts, so the answer is they exist.
I mean, we did read your thoughts, of course. You wrote them out nicely for us, but you are now on the record, as it were.
favorite is Toxic. At least that one. That one's the one that seems they're having the most fun of, and it's like, yeah.
I still like Good Boy. I think that's a really nice, like, sweet song to have. Pronouns is always nice. Say your pronouns. Rev Your Motor still fucking hits. Toxic's a fun cover. It's not my favorite cover. My least favorite's definitely fucking Trans Starship Feminist BDSM Paradise. Like, the singer goes for like a mix of a voice kind of between Sonic and SpongeBob a little bit sometimes, and I think that I think I made this analogy last time as well. And I think that song is probably one of the ones where it's the most apparent.
Yeah. Favorites for me: Rainbow Drones, Toxic. Least favorites: Trans Starship Feminist BDSM Paradise.
All right, now Ritz, I believe your other album we'll have the least to talk about is of course Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, yeah. To a point, I think this will be the point in which I'll finally say I understand why Dirty Computer was liked so much. Because now I know what a mid Janelle Monáe album sounds like.
Yeah,
I'm still not a big fan of Dirty Computer. Like I haven't really had much attempts to go back into it. I've had my takes. I've said my takes. Overall, I do still appreciate Dirty Computer. It's just not an album for me. So sorry. And this one, look, I try to be as progressive as a man as I can possibly be, and try to be as neutral. But sometimes, even though I might be a bisexual man and I can let my gayness show out, sometimes I'm absolutely straight as can be, and have to admit that the promotional advertising for this album got me hooked. Just gotta put that out there.
Yeah. There was
Yeah.
a tweet I saw around the release that was like Janelle Monáe doing the full non-binary journey of being into sci-fi and doing a space opera into, yeah, I just like butts now.
Yeah, it got me hooked. That's the great advertisements, just out there, and not even in the sexual way as well. I'm a big fan of just nudity in non-sexual circumstances as well. This album, however, was just mid. Like I when you were saying like to me that like Float is a banger, yeah, it starts off strong and then just does nothing. I like Float. Float is a good song.
I agree with that. Dirty Computer is kind of peak Janelle Monáe.
I was really into their sci-fi stuff. I really like the Metropolis stuff that they had going on. I kind of wish they would go back to that. I understand, being there's like a whole personal journey happening here, they might not go back to that ever, or if they do, it'll be probably a little bit later than now. But yeah, I think it's tough, right? Because this is an album I think will be looked upon more fondly in the future, because we are, of course, 5 years on from Dirty Computer, and this is the first album that's been put out since then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so going from okay, they're not doing the space epic anymore, but they're still doing a sci-fi concept album ish. Now it's just okay. Here is just an album about loving people, loving yourself, liking ass. That's not a bad thing at all. But it's a different vibe.
Ass is incredible, but
it's a different vibe. And it's a different mode to be in, and that I think is hard to really come to terms with in a linear sense. But looking back, having all the albums together, I think it'll be something different at least.
There's something about this album in just how it is as an album. I love how it all flows. As I've seen a couple comments going about how it sounds like it's just one song, really, like one kind of long odyssey. And I actually appreciate it. I think the flow on this album is the best part of it. The way that it transfers from each concept that it does to the next is done really seamlessly, and I appreciate any album that does that. However, the concepts never get enough time to be anything else other than concepts. And with an artist like Janelle Monáe, they have the production value to turn concepts into these larger stories. I don't know how to specifically be stories, but you get what I'm meaning here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we covered the sci-fi stuff. Ritz, you weren't on that. That was a mini-sode that Trix and I did.
Yeah.
And I think, having all of that in context, you can hear some of the things that have come up in like other albums that have been done. You can kind of hear the string ornate stuff, and you can kind of hear some of the choral elements. They kind of tie back to with like the Arcandroid and stuff like that. For me, listening to those albums, I hear those things. I'm like, okay, these are them in like a different context and a different way of like presenting them, and I think that's cool. But it makes the album a Janelle Monáe album. But it's a summer album. It's like Origami Angel's Brightest Days in a sense.
I feel like to give Origami Angel some praise though. At least the songs in there felt like fleshed out songs, and here it just felt like it didn't feel half baked. I'm not gonna go that far. I still think this album is like good. I wouldn't call this, despite having the problems of this and thinking it is like a bit mid personally. I mean, my views on Janelle Monáe's music probably means if I think it's mid, you probably think it's above average. That's how I take it on this. But I feel like with Origami Angel, the songs in there just were able to be songs, and this feels like we got a couple songs in this album and then just a lot of filler. I mean, I felt a bit of that on Dirty Computer as well. I wasn't so big of the interludes, but
yeah, there's a place for interludes and having that stuff, right? And I think there's a place too for having an album that's breezy, summer fun, right?
Yeah,
but it does feel like there is the way that they're cut up. It seems optional in a way. Like you don't have to cut it up this way. There's nothing really, I don't know, calling for it. Like okay, maybe like Champagne Shit to Black Sugar Beach. There's a little bit of a beat change in the background, but the overall kind of flow is still the same, and there's kind of a fun thing in doing that, kind of like listening to the Avalanches, right? But those two, for example, could still be one song.
Yeah.
I mean, there definitely is a place. I'm not criticizing interludes in albums, obviously, because then yes, I would be a hypocrite to love the Avalanches. It's more so, it feels like it doesn't feel like the interludes are there only just to introduce the next song or to kind of cut them. It just feels like the interludes are the album at times.
It's like they're there to kind of bridge to the next thing. Which
but there's just so many of them.
Yeah. And because there's only like, 5 or 6 real songs, I feel like. Maybe a little bit more, but
I mean, if you treat this as an EP turned into an album, it's probably a bit more understandable, because it kind of does feel like that a bit. I mean, this is I think this is Janelle's shortest release, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Except for EPs, yes.
If you go by runtime and like average at the song length, it's just a little over 2 minutes per song.
Yeah. And I think there is, in past albums, like The Electric Lady, for example, there is fantastic use of other artists, like other black artists, especially like Erykah Badu, Prince is on it. They do fantastic work, like Erykah Badu and Queen. This continues that trend of bringing in a lot of different voices and having people that's like, holy shit, they got Grace Jones. Holy shit, Nia Long is here for some reason. But a lot of them feel like they are just, they're here. Like Grace Jones is on a 35-second track called Ooh La La, and she speaks some French. It's like, it just feels like, hey, we got her.
We did it, Reddit.
It's they're doing kind of just like a bucket list, like, oh, I get to work with. I understand that. That's totally cool. But
it also,
the same time, like, put a little bit more.
It's like when Lana Del Rey was on that Snow on the Beach song that Taylor Swift did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always remember a meme that someone posted after Midnights came out, and it was the Lana Insta like Facebook story, and it was just all the comments going, "Lana, you're on mute."
Yes. Yeah. It's not exactly that, of course, but it's like, I would love to hear Grace Jones, do something. I would like to hear, like, Neil Long does stuff, and Amore, they do stuff on The Rush, right? But it just feels random. It doesn't feel as, I don't know, it doesn't fit as well as The Electric Lady did. And I don't know, there's other stuff here too, like I Only Have Eyes for Two. That's a fun reinterpretation of I Only Have Eyes for You. I like that kind of stuff. That feels like a little bit of inspiration late in the game. In a sense, the second half of the album is a little bit more packed than the first half, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I really do think, looking back, it'll be like, oh yeah, that time Janelle Monáe did like a reggae Afrobeat album instead of like what they're normally known for. That was cool.
It's a wonderful side quest in their discography.
But it doesn't hit as well being like the thing after 5 years. Like,
yeah,
I want to say it stings a little more in this context because I feel like that's a little bit pretentious to be like, oh, Janelle Monáe has to make music all the time that satisfies me as a white gay man. I'm not even the target audience, right?
For the pop scene, usually you are.
Sure, but I feel like Janelle Monáe is also trying to target like this is more of an album that's like I said, it's Afrobeat, it's reggae. It's I think more appealing or not appealing, but it's trying to talk to her friends that are black, trying to bring in more, black audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Trix, you just posted a meme of the vampire, and it says, "I don't have pink clothes to see Barbie," and I'm telling you, going to the theaters to watch that yesterday, that is exactly how I fucking felt.
Yeah, I stole that from a goth meme account on Twitter.
Now, Janelle Monáe and Barbie would be a cool thing. I'm sure they were good in Glass Onion.
I'm surprised they weren't involved with Barbie at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have much else to say because I kind of want to let this one sit for a while and then I'll probably appreciate Float.
Yeah, this feels like a slow burn. Like I feel like this is one of those albums I'll come back to in like 6 months to like 2 years maybe and just be like, oh man, this is a lot better than I remember, and fuck, did we kind of sleep on it.
Like, it's cool to make a party album. It's cool to make an album that kind of just flows through.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like if Rush all of a sudden went country for an album and just did a bunch of country covers and then went back to being Rush.
I mean, that was feedback, basically.
Fair enough. We haven't gotten there yet in our Rush discography.
And we're not going to get there.
Don't tempt me.
So I didn't even realize this. I've gotten bored and started looking at Barbie memes. I didn't realize Ben Shapiro actually did a review of it, and actually titled it "Ben Shapiro Destroys Barbie" for 43 minutes.
Yeah, and he burns Barbies in it, from what I've seen on Twitter.
I was gonna say we got Ben Shapiro doing a 43 Barbie review, 43-minute Barbie review. That's like
it's longer than this album.
Yes.
Yeah. If you had two choices, listen to Janelle Monáe or Ben Shapiro Barbie review. I mean, Janelle Monáe would obviously be higher quality, but like the other one, you just know is going to be like. You know why people watch The Room?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, like that.
I love The Room, but Ben Shapiro Destroys Barbie for 43 minutes sounds like a bad porno.
Yeah.
The Room is great. I will always recommend watching The Room if you like bad movies. But
I feel like I gotta see it in a group, if that makes sense. Like I feel like
apparently one of the lines Ben Shapiro uses in a review is all the costumes are there for the ladies. I don't know what the fuck he is expecting, but also did he not see the fucking? There was definitely costumes for men in there.
Anyway, Doichi's here. That's cool. Other than that, I like Float. That's my favorite.
Yeah, Float's the best of this.
My least favorite's probably something like Hot or Ooh La La.
Yeah, one of the interludes is going to be one of my least favorites as well. But like,
yeah,
it's. I don't think any of them really sucked. I think they're just so much filler that I just got bored of it.
For a more definitive answer, ask me in 2 years. Is what I'll say, and I'll just kind of agree with you guys.
That's the new blender.
Well, I specifically said that, like,
yeah,
this album, I feel like I'll sleep on it.
It's something that I don't mind people loving themselves and making albums about, feeling good and feeling hot and sexy. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I feel like if you're falling into the trap of going from sci-fi to loving butts, and that's like a whole meme, like, I don't know. I want to hear the end of that story. But I hope your evolution, your journey was worth it so far, Janelle. So,
yeah.
I hope things are going well for you.
Alright, what we're covering next? Where we're dropping, lads?
Let's do the Animusics.
I can talk about these for a long time, so we might have to like break this up and then just have me rant after Ritz leaves.
I think that's fair.
Let's talk about let's start surface level here. Animusic.
I I grew up with these. My father came home one day and was like, "Hey, if I got this cool DVD I found," and put it on, I was blown a fucking way. And yeah,
there was a genre of DVDs, especially around the early days of DVDs, that were just people making really shitty short CGI films. And sometimes they'd be a collective, sometimes they'd be like one or two people, and they would just package them together, and they would put it on shelves and name it something like Planetary Traveler. This feels like the good version of that, because there's something actually going on here.
yes.
Because they're all like, wow, look at the power of DVD. Look at us, putting our shorts out there and trying to really wow you with our special graphical effects.
It was also initially released on VHS too, so.
Yes. And the first one was a 3D thing, like
yes.
not the first one, but the first one as Animusic was.
Yes, and there's even a demo out there on Laserdisc.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the one before Beyond the Walls. It's like, it's a demo, you can tell. But
so, Trix, what is this?
It is two guys from Ithaca being like, "Hey, what if we figured out a way to sync up make this incredible, impossible instrument in CGI, and then be able to sync it up with a MIDI track?"
And are they?
I've got an even better question, actually.
Sure.
Yes.
Did either of you? I didn't, but did either of you join the Animusic Discord?
No, I'm going to now.
Did not know one existed.
Yeah, it's literally on the video that Trix sent. It's a description. It says, "Come join the Animusic Discord."
Oh shit!
Look, I got yours music, and now there's the Animusic.
I'm sure it's a lot of people wondering where Animusic 3 is and cursing Wayne Lytle.
Basically.
Lytle.
And a lot of neurodivergent kids being like, "Yes, I used to watch this for hours as a kid. It fascinated me."
And it is, from my understanding, the tracks kind of inspire the animation. The animation kind of inspired the music. They kind of went hand in hand.
Yes.
Correct? There was a fair amount of like procedural generation.
Yes, in the very, very early days of it. It was a lot of, again, they build the instrument, and then Wayne would write the music, and it basically sync up with a MIDI track, and it would animate itself in a way.
And you can definitely tell it's a MIDI track. It does sound like video games of the time.
Yes.
Which I think was the most surprising thing. Because I think, Wayne could have had a career as a video game composer quite easily.
Very. I'm Acoustic Curves in particular is the one that stood out to me as like, this feels like a Dragon Quest style overworld theme.
Yeah, these are essentially music videos. There's 7 or 8 per DVD. They were also released as CDs, and the music is what the music is. It's more in service of like exploring these fantastical instruments. I don't think anything here is like super holy shit amazing like sonically, right?
No.
It's more of just like the wonderment of like, wow, that's really cool that they did that.
Yeah, and it's not like it's bad music, but it's not amazing, but it's really good.
You get to see the bass that plays itself.
Yeah.
I can say, having listened to I didn't really watch the video constantly. I watched enough of it to know what was happening. But actually just listening to this as if there were 2 albums, it's not fantastic in the sense of go listen to this, go listen to this, go listen to this. But this is genuinely good. Like, the music is actually just genuinely good. It, funnily enough, reminds me... It's like, you could probably just randomly tell somebody at some point so that if they ask what you were listening to, you could just lie and say, I'm listening to the Crash Bandicoot soundtrack.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I got a lot of just, like, nostalgia. It didn't sound as if it was ripping off the Crash Bandicoot soundtrack. But I just got, like, a lot of nostalgia, kind of just, like, remembering listening to, like, the initial Crash Bandicoot songs and stuff like that. And there was just that kind of memory in there. That's what it kind of sounded like. It sounded like listening to an old PS1 game soundtrack.
I got similar vibes. I was thinking more of like when I was a little kid and like I had a PC with a bunch of games and it'd be like, it's the Magic School Bus interactive adventure game, and there'd be like a weird soundtrack in the background.
And I mean, the initial releases of this were probably a bit after in some of these PS1 games. I don't know the exact time.
2001 and 2004, I think.
5, I believe, for
5.
2. Yeah.
So it's not like it's out there to say it, but it's obviously not the same time as the PS1 exactly, or some of these songs, some of these games.
You know, I'm going to go a little off topic here and just say that this is something that is, I think, primed to come back, only because I think someone is going to go out there and pitch this as an AI project.
Oh boy, I can't wait to get the Animusic NFT.
Like learning about this, I'm like, so when is Wayne gonna go and be like, I'm finished Animusic 3?
Yeah, I hate that you're right. Well, we'll talk. It's not really pertinent to Animusic 1 and 2, but Animusic 3 was going to be done in Unreal 4.
That was something they decided on after a few years of fussing around with their own stuff.
Yeah, but
they wanted to get away from the stuff that made these two DVDs these two. Like, they wanted to make something that was more streamlined and better. And I'm sure, you know, looking at it from the tech side, that probably would have been a godsend, right? Like, each of these apparently took about 3 years to make.
Not a surprise.
But they put out 2 of these in about 4 years apart.
Yes.
And they couldn't really get it together to do a third one. And that's, you know...
It's a bummer.
Yeah. And then it's like, what... Is the technology an excuse at a certain point to not finish it because you don't want to, like, jinx it?
Yeah.
Oops. But... I don't know, like, I was, like, listening to these, right? Like, I was trying to focus on them more as, like, videos. And I think Animusic 2 had more going on. Like, they were more elaborate.
Yes.
Like the Cathedral one, Cathedral Pictures, you know, that whole
Pictures
church.
at an Exhibition by Menes Medorsky. That's, like, the one actual classic tune.
Like, there's a lot, you know, to that, right? Like, there's a lot, like, the architecture. You know, I kind of wish church was just a random place to hear music. That'd be cool.
It would be.
But, like, compared, I think Animusic 1 maybe had the better or more interesting songs. Or, like, the concept was fresher in that one, so it's like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then you watch the second one, it's like, that's still cool. But I don't think I'm gonna remember the second bundle of songs as much.
The second one does feel more like an expanded edition than it does feel like a bunch of new ideas.
Yeah, like Pipe Dreams is back again. The first DVD had Pipe Dreams in widescreen as well, if you wanted to watch it that way. But that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the crutch they keep going back to. Apparently, Animusic 3 was going to have Super Pipe Dreams. And I think, you know, maybe that's a calling card, but, you know, that's also kind of a way to be like, yeah, we knocked one of these out. Cool.
And I also like Animusic, the Pipe Bomb, I almost said. Pipe Dreams was probably, like, the most iconic. Like, there was even, like, a real-life version of it made for an Intel show.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be a cool way to make this stuff still relevant, is build the instruments.
Yeah. Well, Marble Machine X, that guy, the Winter Garden, he was heavily inspired by Animusic.
Like, I would love to see the aqua harp. That shit looked really cool.
Resonant Chambers off of 2, the fucking, like, 8-necked guitar.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
That's one of the better ones off of Animusic 2.
Like, I'm not looking for anyone to really repeat harmonic voltage or anything, but, like, having a harp with just, like, you know, all those little bells and whistles, I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, what about this Trix, I guess, stuck out to you in your memory? Like, just watching it over and over? Like, what about it, I guess?
I guess just as a kid, it was enraptured me, and it's one of those things that just kind of stuck in my memory, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but I think of it very fondly a lot whenever, like, Animusic comes up. I'm always like, oh, fuck, you remember Animusic. It's like an instant, like, bonding thing that I get with some people.
Fair enough.
I don't know how to explain it other than I like it.
Will you use this to test your home setup in the future?
Yes.
I feel like that's probably what it's best used for now. People use, like, the Fifth Element sometimes, but I think this would work pretty well.
Yes. I need to find a copy of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And there's like a Japanese version or something apparently too.
Yeah.
Brett, I'm curious how much you knew about Animusic before any of this.
Me?
Yes.
None.
Interesting.
Figured as much.
Yeah, no, never heard of this
how
before.
much did you know about it before the episode, Dominic?
I knew of the existence of them. I had seen the second one when I was working at the DVD store I used to work at a lot.
Gotcha.
But I didn't really know what they were. I thought there was more like anime music video type things.
AMVs.
But like professionally done. You know, like here's I don't know, Bones doing a Linkin Park video or something.
Fair enough.
Learning about like Wayne Lytle, I think you said the name was.
Yep.
And his whole journey has definitely been one of the more interesting deep dives I've done on this show in recent memory.
Yes.
It's the tale of a guy trying to do a cool thing, find his passion, and then it all crashing and burning.
Yeah. Which is a shame, really. But
yeah, those posts that he wrote, they're not happy posts.
No.
And it's always amazing to see how different the internet was back then, how differently we wrote.
Yes.
Like all the attempts he made at being like funny and quirky, like none of that would happen now.
Yeah.
But this is a cool little thing. I'm glad that we kind of took a look at this and did something a little bit different. These
yes.
are little relics of like why DVDs were cool.
Yeah.
You could get little things like this.
Yeah, like this wouldn't really exist in an age of streaming.
Yeah, and this really wouldn't exist if home video wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why, I don't know, I think it was Kansas that commissioned them to make a video for them for one of their concerts. And that's on the DVD.
Yeah. This was shown in a lot of, like, music school, or not music school, but, like, music classes in elementary schools, it seems.
I feel like when I was at Circuit City in 2005, with my parents looking for TVs, this was probably playing on a DVD player, showing off how awesome the TV was.
Yeah. And like these are exceptional, these are pretty high quality animations for something like outside of like a Disney or a DreamWorks.
Yeah, this is just two people and it's procedurally generated and it's all kind of just it's about them making the machines and making them come to life.
Yeah.
And kind of comparing back to the things I was talking about, like those early DVDs of like, here's some CGI shit I put together. A lot of those looked awful.
Yeah.
A lot of those were like, wow, CGI is new and cool, and I'm a college student here, and here's my short. And I think, you know, if more had turned out like this would have been a bigger market.
Yeah, even the one from '96, Beyond the Walls, their very first like official one, is pretty high quality, and it looks good. Like it's you wouldn't believe it came out a year after Toy Story.
Yeah. You want to kind of cut it here for a moment so we can kind of get everything else covered?
Yeah, and then we'll come back to it because I can rant about this for hours.
And we will let you. But until then, Dominic, I'll let you choose. The remaining ones are all mine. I have a feeling that since you haven't completely raved about something yet, your favorite is still to come.
What do you think my favorite is?
You know what? I'm going to pick one that I don't think is your favorite, and if I'm wrong, just buzz me out. And I'm going to go with the risky one first, and I'm going to say it's not Frieza.
You are correct.
I'm correct. Alright, what we're going to do, Frieza's I Do My Part by Not Killing Spiders, which, fantastic title.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a quote from something.
But this is some lo-fi in the sense of it's also pretty low production, but yeah, it's still not that low. It's not like we got some scrappy guitar playing or anything on here.
It's okay, I'm fine level.
Yeah, it's very lo-fi fuzz emo out of Batesman's Bay, which is a coastal town south of New South Wales, to the left of on the left of it is Canberra, so it's on the right of our nation's capital, probably like an hour drive or something, maybe a bit more than that. So basically a town it's not got nothing there or anything like that, but it is not a major city here. So I haven't really done too much regional artists like this. Pretty fun to put one of them in here. I've obviously chosen them because I wanted to wrap up some of the emo that we're covering with some of the artists in the Australian scene that weren't put into the draft list.
And of course, because they also did a concert, We Will Look Back and Love You Forever.
Not just that. Not only because they hosted the debut show for We Will Look Back at You and Love You Forever, but they're also on the same label that has the Australian distribution. I don't know if they've got another one. I think it might just be the Oz distribution, but I could be wrong. As they are gutting a body of water.
Ah, interesting.
Which we covered on the Through the Soil EP. So we actually got quite a bit of connections by picking this band. And here it is.
Chucks, I'm curious what you thought.
This was probably my least favorite of Ritz's picks.
That's interesting, because I felt this was very Horse Jumper of Love.
No, not quite up my alley enough. It's not quite Horse Jumper of Love for me.
It's alright. If I want to pick a 2023 album in that vein, there is a new Horse Jumper of Love, I'm pretty sure.
There is.
Yeah. This, look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I think this is the best out of all the emo and stuff that we've done this year, but I still like it. Just in general. I think it's a fun little EP. Maybe I have some similar vibes of Dog Park Dissidents. I don't think I can go and tell you from all the sounds in here that this is a band that has got all the potential in the world to absolutely blow us out critically. But I think this is one of those albums that, well, it's an EP, so I shouldn't call it an album. I never fuck up albums and EPs before. I think it is a little interesting kind of just look into a scene that's developing. If it's small, it's still developing. That's not. I've called it Naarm-emo because all the other artists have been based out of Melbourne, but this one is the one artist that's not in that scene, but yet they did their show in Collingwood, so they're kind of associated with that scene.
Sure.
It's basically just I don't really have any other reason for picking it than this. Got some good tracks on there. I think there's some good riffs that happen throughout it. I mean, I'm trying to find there's artists in my head that it reminds me of, and it's not in the case of I just forget the artist names and stuff like that. It feels like they are still kind of struggling a bit to capture their own sounds on this, but they're also a pretty young band, so who knows what their next step is.
I thought that some of it sounded kind of disjointed, like having the Viewfinder tracks and then Placer kind of felt, I don't know, not out of place necessarily, but just like, oh yeah, they're doing a lot of different stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't have a ton to say about this one because unlike Dog Park Dissidents, for me, I have things I like about that band, and things I will talk about music wise and songs, and nothing really stuck out to me with this one. I mean, there's moments, there's some good bass playing, there's some good contrasts, there's some good, emo moments. But I'm also wondering, why are Viewfinder 1 and 2 separate songs? It sounds like they could just be bridged together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think the highlights on this EP for me have just mostly been the instrumentation, in the sense of, with the kind of low production that they have on here, I think they actually make the sound work really well with it. I think there's some good riffs that happen in there. As you said, there's some great bass playing. I think it's Placer's got some pretty heavy bass riffs on that. I think when we're doing the comparison to Horse Jumper of Love there as well, I think this is a little too heavy, or a little too screamy for Horse Jumper of Love. That one feels a lot more like it feels closer. Yeah, it feels a lot more controlled and calmer, surprisingly. Sure. Well, this is, I mean, we're going for the Australian scrams here today.
Yeah. And
that's what this feels definitely a lot closer to.
And Sarah's theme reminded me of Surfer Boy scrams, which I thought was an interesting image in my mind. Yeah. Kind of like a surfer attitude, but screaming. I'm like, okay, that's new. That's new to the palette. I'll accept that.
I think I'm gonna agree with you as well with the Viewfinder. It's it is basically the same song, just continued on. It could have just been the one thing. I don't think it matters too much if you listen to this in the sense of a start to finish, but it is a bit of a weird stylistic choice in here. I think the opening and the closing to these albums are the highlights on it. I do like the opening guitar to Wife though. I think that's one of those moments when I'm talking about the sound and the kind of thing on there, and just one of those riffs. It's I think they got a sound. They are still struggling to kind of make their own sound, but I do think they can work with what they got, and maybe we'll see something. I don't really have them out in my to listen to list and saying like, oh yeah, we got an album out. Fuck, this is going to be the most incredible thing. But this is definitely one of those like, I can see why people like it. I think if you're looking, why people might like it. Sorry, this isn't why people like it in the sense of like they're popular and stuff. Unfortunately, none of the scrams are. This is a sense of I can see definitely why people might like this, and I come away. I mean, I don't come away hating anything that we've listened to this week, which is a good week when we got to that. It's more so that it's just come and go, unfortunately.
Yeah, compared to the other stuff, it's kind of come and go. I also like Wife, the guitar parts and things. It kind of sounded like if you took the Smiths and made it more emo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no disagreements there.
This album was here.
It was indeed here.
I really don't have any like strong favorites or least favorites. Like I like
parts of Wife. Favorites are Where's Donnie and Wife, least favorites Viewfinder.
We'll just agree then. That's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so now I had to do the guess of which one do I think is Dominic's favorite of the week. And it's going to be the one that I don't choose, and I'm just going to base it off knowing Dominic and saying that it's not Girl with Fish from Feeble Little Horse.
It is not.
Well, we're doing Girl with Fish from Feeble Little Horse this week.
I will say, though, this album did grow on me listening to it more.
This is my favorite of Ritz's picks this week. Yeah,
this is my favorite of the week because it's a really short album that does just a whole lot in it. And we're talking about Janelle Monáe earlier, which that one felt like it had a lot of filler songs and stuff like that, and the concepts didn't throw. This one's even shorter, but it feels like the concepts do what they want to do in here. We get quite a lot. It's a very packed album, but it doesn't feel too overwhelming.
It's like you're putting the alt in shoegaze a lot more. It's kind of like bending over from being a shoegaze album and just going back into being like alternative fuzzy rock.
Yeah.
Plus, there's some really fucking catchy moments in there as well. Like, it's one of those when you have such a abrasive type of sound in there, you wonder what's going to happen with it. And what we've actually surprisingly got in this album, it doesn't sound like it, but what we've actually got in this album is a really good pop rock album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the second half a lot. The first half.
Do you wanna be in my pocket?
Pocket's great. Basically,
Pocket is phenomenal.
From Slide onward, I'm sold. The first half, it's there.
Yeah.
First half has got some great moments on there as well. I mean, the opening, I Know You Want Me, Freak.
I have trouble with people.
Me, freak.
I have trouble with people that actually use freak in an unironic context. I feel like that's such a Hollywood word. Like I just don't buy you when you say freak.
The Steamroller is another fucking highlight off this album as well.
Yeah.
Steamroller, you fuck like another. It's a really catchy album, and then you had to kind of just look past some of the abrasiveness for a second and just let everything happen, and then the instrumentation is just really surprisingly fitting for this type of album. It is shoegazy in a bit, but it's not like it's not like going into like a paranormal type of sound, which we've done here, which has actually been surprisingly really clean. This is a pretty, I would say, dirty album.
Yeah, but I think least.
Oh, you go first.
I think the problem I was having with it, especially the first half, is that I don't think the vocals always match it. I think the vocals are kind of doing the disaffected female voice thing, and that can be fine sometimes, and it's been used really well before. But here, until we kind of find its stride, it's kind of like, yeah, this is happening. All right, this is a style. Like it just
maybe it's one of those things where personal preference goes on here. I think the vocals fit fine on there. I mean, this is probably the only moment in which I'm like a little unsure. It might be Sweet.
Okay, interesting.
Where we got the male and female vocals kind of doing a duet in there.
Yeah.
And there's parts of it, but it's like I also think like, yeah, maybe when that one gets a little too clean in there and the vocals come in, it's just not so fitting as well.
Sweet was one where I like the concept, but not the execution.
Yeah. But I think when we had that lo-fi fuzz that's like engulfing the whole sound, and then you got the very calm and not really talky, but it's not really like there's that much strain in the singing in the sound as well. Obviously, I don't know how they decide to sing in this, and maybe they do get some strain in the vocals. It feels very slow moving in a very fast paced album.
Mm-hmm.
And they do the okay cool thing. I mean, the songs are for the most part a minute and a half, 2.
Yeah. But in this case, I would say like when I'm comparing it to the album that we've done, which has a very similar pacing and stuff, with Janelle Monáe, it's a case of this. It still allows its concepts to breathe, and we get some really interesting songs out of this.
Oh yeah, they make good use of their song length quite well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm reading interviews, like they were very much like, yeah, we like short songs. We don't really have great attention span, so we don't want to like waste a lot of time. Which
that explains why I like this.
I struggle with that as somebody who likes being patient and like really diving into stuff, but I understand where they're coming from.
And then also, I mean, whilst we're praising Pocket as well, the fucking explosion at the end of it. Do you wanna be in my pocket? And it fucking just absolutely destroys your ears.
I like the really glitchiness that comes in at certain points too.
Yeah.
It's like it's falling into the Backrooms version of the track where it's suddenly heavier and like much more fuzzed out or something.
It's a little album that does a lot. I'm not gonna go give you the not gonna give you the 10 out of 10 on this one. I think there definitely is some moments on here which could have used a little more time in the oven, but out of all the stuff that we've done this week, this is the one I say you should go listen to. I think it's a really interesting album, and I think it executes a lot of its concepts really well, even if it doesn't execute them all perfectly.
Trix, what about you? Can't hear you, Trix.
What do I think?
Yeah.
This might just be me being the fan of like AFAB indie with I dig this kind of sound. I like what they're doing in the space, and I would like to hear more from them. And I think this is a good like opening album for them, or introducing them to me at least. And I can't wait to see what else they do. And this album itself was just a lot of fun and phenomenal.
Fair. What are your favorites, least favorites? Died.
She completely cut out. Yep.
All right, Ritz.
Favorites are Pocket, Steamroller, Freak. Heavy Water is a really nice soft closer to the whole thing. Least favorite has to be Sweet.
Trix, you back yet?
Yes. Favorites. Freak, Pocket, Heavy Water. No least favorites.
My favorite's Pocket. I like Heavy Water too. Like I said, the second half is pretty good. Healing, Station, Slide. My least favorite's probably Sweet. Which leads us now to my favorite of the week, Keratin Only Eye.
Scrams.
This is the gothic metal shit I was listening to before this podcast began. So I'm very happy. I have not listened to the sound in a long time.
Dominic, if you grew up in Australia, I can guarantee you would have had an obsession with the Amity Affliction in high school.
Possibly, if I listened to them when I was in high school, there's a good chance I would have avoided them. But
I can tell you, as somebody who listened to enough Amity Affliction in high school as well, I would have joined you. Do not worry.
I mean, to me, I was thinking of Moonspell. That's a band I listened to quite a bit of. They're a Brazilian gothic metal band that not exactly the same tone, but a lot of the some of the instrumentation, some of the way the scrams were used definitely reminded me of them. This is like one of those things where I think they only had like 70 some listeners on Spotify or something like that. To me, that's crazy. This is excellent. This is the scrams that I like. Fuck that Jerome's Dream bullshit.
As someone who likes Jerome's Dream as well, I think the Jerome's Dream one was a little bit more cleaner. I think this is and this one is only just barely in the 2023 circuit as well, Dominic. So you get to put it into your favorite EPs of the year if you want to at the end of this all. I think for what is basically underground. This is probably one of the more underground ones I've done.
Yeah,
this is really surprisingly good. This is just I still don't think it's my favorite of the week or anything like that. I put it above Freezer. It's the riffs on there just fuck the passion in the vocals is going well. I think maybe it's not the most unique sounding album still as well. I think there's probably enough scrams and stuff that I've heard, but I think they are still a lot closer than Freezer is to getting their own distinct sound with it. It's a really good scrams EP. It do fuck.
You look for the things in songs like this that kind of entrance you. You look for the good build-ups. You look for
don't bite me.
You look for the contrast. Right? You look for the calmer moments and how they fit in with the louder scramsy moments. And I think songs like Only I do that really well. Pop the Cap has some really great moments where it's just a build-up pretty quickly. And there's a deliberate pace to, especially Pop the Cap too, that I'm just this sounds like a band that is pretty carefully measured and considered, not just someone, their first tryout throwing together an EP.
But from what we can see on Spotify and stuff, this kind of is their first.
Yeah, we don't really know much about them.
Yeah, this that's the crazy part. This is, from all we know, a pretty new band.
Yeah, I think they got together in 2022 from the looks of it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. I've done the Who Knows on the Aussie Music Discord for this band, and I thought, okay, this would be one of those ones where only I know it. But there's someone who's who somehow gotten 100 plays of this already. So
hell yeah,
good on them. Bones 777. They're from Victoria. All right,
been 6 months.
Join my server. 18 plus.
You're a Victoria man.
All right. I've been beaten by somebody who runs a porn server.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, the thing too is that these songs are pretty short. They do a lot with a little, and they're not afraid to go longer.
Wait, hold on. Someone's all right. I'm posting this shit. This is actually on Keratin's Spotify play. List. It's fucking funny. The sex playlist.
In October 2019, I call a suicide hotline for the first time by Your Heads in My Cocoon.
What a start. And then it's just Raccoon City, Salt Money, a pot. And that's just all that. And this is Keratin. Merchant ships. Fucking, that's funny. I'm glad I found this.
Love Lost but Not Forgotten. Orchid. Yeah, this is great.
Yep, Dominic is going back to high school with this one.
Yeah.
We're going back to the high school trauma with this one, fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably still would have avoided it at the time, but it's something I came into later.
I mean, this is, it's a great 19 minutes of heavy riffs, heavy vocals, just a lot condensed into it. I don't think it does as much as Feeble Little Horses does, but I think there's still quite enough exploring in the genre that they got here.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time I'm down in Melbourne, which is next week, which is why I'm not here next week. Spoilers. I'll find the person, message them, and say start a fucking show so I can do something while I'm in Melbourne.
Well, I'm sure if we talk to We Will Look Back, we could probably maybe get a hookup. Who knows?
I don't know. Who knows? You tell her who you can start it, but I think it's also a case of finding a venue.
That's true. That's fair.
Venues will fuck you over.
That they will.
I've heard plenty of stuff in the Chicago scene. Yep. That being said,
I'm at the point where I have to start to kind of call a cap on this. So
Least favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to do some wrap-up stuff. And first off, we'll say favorites and least favorite. Favorites is probably stuff like Only Eye and Still Krill. Least favorites probably Survive Snake.
I agree with Survive Steak. That's my least favorite. My favorites are Only Eye and Hateful, and Pop the Cat's really good too.
Blender.
Disagree.
For me, it was a blender.
You didn't enjoy it that much?
Nah, this is one of my favorites of the week.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, I'm going to do a quick ranking for the week. Least favorite out of all of it, I'm probably still going to have to get to Dog Park Dissidents, just because the last two are probably kind of a bit tied with each other. Fifth one is then going to be Janelle Monáe. Fourth is going to be Freezer. 3 is going to be Animusic. 2 is going to be Keratin, and 1's going to be Feeble Little Horse.
Okay. Fuck. Bottom for me is going to be Animusic 2, then 1, then Freezer. No, 2, Freezer, then 1, then Feeble Little Horse, then Dog Park, then Janelle, then Keratin.
Keratin, Dog Park, Freezer, Janelle Monáe, and I'm gonna joint Animusic and Feeble Little Horse is number 1.
All right, and then for as far as next couple weeks goes here, just to kind of map it out quickly, we are having a mini-sode next week. We will go into that in a moment. After that, we will be recording a regular episode. However, since we are coming up on August, the next episode that will be released will be our anniversary episode.
Shit, yeah, you're right.
So the listeners will be seeing 2 mini-sodes back to back, and then the next episode, but we will be recording mini-sode, regular episode, then mini-sode, from the looks of things.
Now, can I suggest again an album that we do for the anniversary mini-sode?
Sure.
In which in this case, I feel like by suggesting this one, I think there's a fair enough assumption that both of you will be ready to do this. And I have been posting a bunch of memes in this chat recently, which is probably prepping you two up, but it's not going to prep anyone who's listening to this up for exactly what's going to be covered. But yesterday, I went to the feeders, and I ended up watching something that surprisingly had a really good soundtrack for it. Like, it's honestly had a better... No right to be as good as it was for a soundtrack, specifically with some of my thoughts and some of the artists on there. And I am, kid you not, the Barbie soundtrack was good. Was actually good. And I think since this is... I think when we've got 2 weeks of this, and both of you are probably going to see that movie in that 2 weeks, I think we can have a fun time discussing that during the anniversary episode.
Do the Barbie movie and soundtrack for the anniversary episode. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing Barbenheimer myself.
Should we just do Barbenheimer?
Maybe. I need to watch Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I think we all do. So
we want to do the Barbenheimer?
To be determined at a later date.
I think we should do Barbenheimer.
Let's do Barbenheimer.
We're doing the I've got 2 weeks to watch Oppenheimer.
I'm going to do them both in one night and have a handful of edibles beforehand.
Good girl. That is me for the week. I have been Ritalin. You can catch me at Ritalin for Kids at github.io. It has a YouTube channel that's in the description below. You will now listen to Trix talk about Animusic for about 2 more hours.
Ritz,
have a good week, everyone.
Put your picks for the next regular episode in the chat when you get a chance, please.
I will. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Ritz. So Animusic.
Well, actually, let's get your I want to get your expanded thoughts on Keratin a little bit because we didn't really hear from you at all.
I really don't have much to say about it. It was one of those ones that just went in one ear and out the other. It was not my type of music.
Gotcha. All right, now back to Animusic.
Yes. There's a lot to talk about that I want to talk about. How about we start with just the sort of general vibe that they all give off? Like, they're these big empty machines, and there's no life to them, and they just play music. And I know that there's no lore around the show, but I mean, just like picturing this world where everything is dead except for these machines that at random intervals will play music is a fascinating idea to me.
That is interesting. I do agree. I think, whether they're programmed to do so or it's like this is what their programming has kind of like broken down to.
Yeah. Like Starship Groove, just this funk powered spaceship flying through the stars.
There's like a ton of lasers just shooting around, just like meow, meow,
Yeah.
meow. Like having I really like Mickey Mousing, if you're familiar with that term.
Somewhat.
The Mickey Mousing refers to the perfect sequencing of like action and music. Like
Yeah.
it's like in there's a famous sequence in the first James Bond movie, Doctor No, where there's a spider. I think it's a spider or a bug being killed, and like a shoe is being like hitting it, and every shoe hit is like accentuated by like an orchestra beat.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Gotcha.
So it's like
The entirety of Baby Driver.
I have not seen Baby Driver, but probably yes.
Its whole gimmick is that it's synced to music.
And that's what this is too.
Yeah.
It is it's kind of just there's just a inherent cool element of seeing these visuals perfectly synced up to music.
Yeah.
And
I do like in Animusic too how it's as opposed to being less procedurally generated, they added some kind of like characterization to some of the instruments, like specifically like pogo sticks or the musicians in Starship Groove.
yeah, like the first one is all just arms and just very much machines. The second one has faces and like character.
Yes.
Like in the first one, you get like the bass that plays itself, and you get like
that was the mascot of the series.
And like Concerto in 3D or the Beyond the Walls one, there's like something on a unicycle, I think.
Yeah, it's a drum.
Yeah, so that has some personality, but
yeah,
like there's fun evolution in that. There's fun seeing how much they're able to cram in and change, and looking at it all, you really can see a bright future for what Animusic is doing.
You could have there's a future where there's an alternate reality where there's like 15 of these things and they all rock.
And I can see like, oh, they got guest composers to come in and start doing them.
Yeah.
And they got like a full staff to kind of crank them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being Wayne and I think the other guy's name is Dave.
Something like that. I just remember. I remember Wayne particularly because he was the musician.
Yeah, and then Dave kind of did a lot of the artistic.
Yeah, he modeled it. He made the machine that Wayne then played.
Yeah.
And another thing I like about this is that this feels like the natural evolution of automatonic instruments.
What is that?
Like the player piano.
Oh, yeah. I think
this is just the next logical evolution.
Agreed. Yeah, this is something that's like, okay, it plays itself. It is, you can watch it at a store or have it on the background while you're eating dinner or something.
Yeah.
There's use to that.
It's phenomenal to watch after you've had an edible.
I wonder how many malls had this playing on like a TV in like the lobby or like the main thoroughfare.
Yeah, or just like Best Buy playing it on repeat. There's probably like some retail employees that hate Animusic with a passion because they had to listen to it like 30 times a shift.
I wonder how many home videos and like those malls and stuff kind of captured moments.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see, is like kind of seeing like Animusic through the lens of like, it's Devin's 5th birthday party and he's going to pick out a Nintendo GameCube game.
Yeah.
What'd you get, Devin? Battalion Wars? I don't know what that is. I don't know if they're for a 5-year-old. And then you just see the fucking the bass in the background the whole time. Yeah. I think, yeah.
This seems like something that would show up in the background of like a sitcom or a drama of the era. Like this wouldn't be out of place if you saw it in The Sopranos.
It also would be, it would be, but it wouldn't be out of place in the sense if you saw it in like a snuff film or like one of those like home video recordings, and then something terrible just fucking happens at the end of it, and they're posted on the internet because you can post anything on the fucking internet.
Yes.
Oh, this person fell down. They knocked down all the fucking shelves in the fucking building, and 10 people got hurt.
Yes, all well. Heavy light plays in the background.
Yeah.
Which heavy light is interesting because it's just this structure kind of appearing out of the sand, and it's like completing some sort of like moon ritual or something.
I'm curious. There was also a rumor going around that the Pipe Dream was a real instrument to begin with that they kind of pretended was a digital thing. It was made out of like farm equipment or something.
I think that is false, but it
is
interesting.
False.
Yes.
But it I don't know if it was just like, oh wow, this is so impossible to believe that this could happen. We're gonna pretend that it's fake.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have some
Another
notes.
thing that I think would be interesting is like a fan project where it's just like drawings, but like what happens years after these machines are running with no upkeep and how they just degrade. Because that was what I was thinking about in my latest watch. Is like who kind of maintains these machines? What?
Yeah, actually, you bring up an interesting point. I obviously, to go into Animusic 3 again, you know, a Kickstarter happened. The thing never got completed. They sent out a fair amount of the rewards, but other than like a soundtrack that got released, there was never
The Sound of 12.
Yes. So maybe the way that Wayne wanted to do it, he's like, I can't do it. It's never going to be completed. But if you really wanted to get it done, I feel like there are different ways, right?
I feel like Animusic has enough of an underground cult status that he could be like, I'm making the Animusic license open to anybody who wants to put a quality animation together, and I'll approve it. Like a Love, Death, Robots sort of thing.
I was more thinking, there's basically that, but I was thinking of, do you remember over 10 years ago now when they were making Mega Man Legends 3 on the 3DS?
Oh my god, yes. And how like the demo is released and finished and it's never been released.
More of the that's right. The demo was never released. Actually, that was the disappointing part of it. But
okay, I thought like a demo was released.
No, it was like announced and was going to be released, but it was like canceled a couple months before it was supposed to come out.
Gotcha.
But that project was like the first time I think a big developer like Capcom had really tried to do like fans contributing like designs and like voting on stuff and having contests to decide, you know, who's gonna be, you know, which character is gonna be which design is gonna be this character or whatever like that, right?
Yeah.
That's a topic that has different meaning now when we talk about, oh, like relying on fans to do work for you, right? But at the time it was cool because it was like, wow, you really are opening it up and letting people just contribute. And that was cool. And I think that is a model, especially given the whole Kickstarter debacle, that could be useful here. Of just like, here, let's just have people submit stuff. We're going to vote on it. We're going to decide, what is Animusic 3 going to be?
Yes.
We're going to compile the best 8 or 10 or whatever and just put it out.
Yeah. I'm surprised that something like that hasn't happened. Like, just him being like, okay, I can't continue this, but there's obviously that people want this. What can I do?
Right, like, even if you're just like showing people the concepts that you made or like kind of the rendering that was done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know, or here's the track that I had, you know, you do your own version of it and we'll sync it up to something.
Yeah.
This is the instrument I wanted to use, that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially since I mentioned him earlier, the Winter Garden guy, the guy who's building the actual marble machine. Like, that could like easily slide into the DVD features of an Animusic 3.
Absolutely. And it'd be funny to see it on DVD this late in the game, right? But I mean,
yeah,
they promised it as a DVD.
You know what I mean at this point, yeah.
But I totally think it should be on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K.
Yes.
Like, that was always promised. You know, like
Still waiting on Mighty Number 9 3DS.
Yep. And you know, I've backed other projects that have promised me a DVD and have never delivered. I'm still waiting on those. But I think people would appreciate that, especially given Animusic's roots and where it was most popular in DVD.
Yeah, and it can't be that expensive to print a DVD anymore.
Oh God, no. And like, especially if you're kind of doing it for the fans, I think you kind of can do a lower print run, or at least know how many to print.
Yeah.
And that could be, you know, if there was a way to kind of have more checks and balances, like helps have a fan kind of come in and help run things, have someone, you know, who knows stuff about the film industry come in and like help steer the ship. I think there would be a potential to do another round of like, hey, we're gonna just set up an account. If you want to donate, donate. It's gonna go to this. It's gonna go to making the DVD. It's gonna go to making the Blu-ray. And then they'll do fucking 4K remasters of the originals for something. I don't know.
Yeah, which fans have already done. But they're all like AI upscaled, interpolated. Which I mean, fits with the idea of Animusic as a whole. I feel.
As long as like there also have to be a checks and balances to make sure that the submissions are not AI based.
Yes.
Because like that would be the easiest thing to do, but I think that eliminates the fun of it.
It does.
Like maybe to have like one and be very clear about it. Be like, hey,
yeah,
special feature. This is what AI can do with Animusic right now.
Yes, and I think even on the AI track, it would have to have a composed soundtrack to it.
Probably. Or would it be easier to?
I don't think it would be. I think it would be a mess if you tried to AI generate the music and then base the instrument off of it.
I mean, AI generated music has existed for a minute, and I've heard some of it, and it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like listening to songs that are in English, but you don't know English.
Yeah, there's one project that I followed years ago. It was like just one guy doing a YouTube video, and he's like, I want to try and do Baroque music. And he plugged in Mozart and Bach, which Mozart is classical and Bach is Baroque, and they're incompatible sounding. And he's like, it doesn't sound right. I wonder why this is, not knowing that. So you can't approach this from a total tech perspective.
You just can't approach it from a dumbass perspective. You got to know your shit.
Yes.
If you're gonna go for a classical, like a Mozart level, do those. If you're gonna go for a romantic section, go with romantic composers. If you're gonna go for the actual Baroque, do the Baroque.
And another thing about doing AI generated Bach music is that Bach makes so much fucking music that he pretty much put every combination of notes together that he could have in his style.
Sure.
And he fathered like 21 children.
Bach?
Yes.
Wow. What a legend.
Yes, his clavier was well tempered and his cock was well hung. Yeah. There is a potential for Animusic that is owned by the fans, and that could be really cool and really scary at the same time.
But I mean, from what it seems like, Wayne has had a lot of money troubles, especially in the wake of 3 not going well.
Yes. And I think he also has some chronic illness too.
Yeah, and I think this would be a cool way to help.
Yeah.
If you're just willing to let go of that control a little bit, this could be a huge, help to you.
Yeah. And if you look at like the comments on any Animusic video, they're like, wow, this is incredible. I forgot about this. I love this as a kid, and like it's always only ever like seen in a positive light.
Right, and there's a certain wonderment you just get at like watching these little animations pop off, and it's like, yeah, that really fits together well, and it's amazing that someone just did this. They're so meticulously like sequenced, and the camera movements make sense, and the filmmaking is there. It's like I'm wonder like how much control do they have with the camera? Like how much was there like around it, right? Like did they just have the whole thing generated and then like they just kind of went in and filmed different parts of it?
I think that is because I remember watching features a lot as a kid too because they were interesting, and like they would build the entire set and then pan the camera around it. Because I remember there was like alternate camera views on Pipe Dream, and
yeah, that's right.
And they had just like you could like just focus on like say the keyboard, the glockenspiel or the drum set.
Which is why something like Unreal Engine would have worked well, I think, if they had stuck with it. But also, trying to teach yourself a whole fucking engine like that is probably really tough after working on something really different.
Like homegrown built software is different than off the shelf.
Especially when you're like coming at it from the perspective of like, I worked on this stuff in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yes. Our first demo was on Laserdisc.
And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, you're bad at technology, you can't, improve or whatever, but there's not active development constantly ongoing and like work kind of being produced. It's different.
Yeah, it's like if you brought somebody from the past who has only driven a Model T and put them in front of a modern car, they wouldn't be able to drive it.
It's like talking to a writer that like wrote a book in his 30s and then, okay, you're in your 60s, write another book.
Yeah,
maybe they could do it, but been a minute.
Yeah,
kind of got to acclimate to like no longer typewriters, you're using a keyboard, you're using a computer, you're doing this, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You're not even having a word processor, you're using like Google Docs or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
What else?
I think that this is just something you need to watch if you're interested in music. It's a big reason why music is a part of my life today. I think there's so much I'd love to say on it, but my mind is coming to a blank because I just have nothing but praise for it.
I mean, we can always come back at another time and do the HD on Blu-ray one. I wonder how much that goes for. Let's look at Amazon. Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Cutting in and out there a little bit, tricks. Alright, Animusic Blu-ray. Oh god. New price $165. Used price $73.16. That's an expensive Blu-ray. Thanks.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, it's $100
for a used copy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, I figured it was going to be something like that because the low print, out of print.
Honestly, though, if you said, we're going to do this, I'd probably still try to buy it.
Me too.
And it's the same thing as the DVD, but still, it's cool. I'm curious what they look like, kind of HDified.
Yeah, the official HDification.
Like you can see, like because it seems to be shot with like a full set, and they're kind of just panning around. Like the widescreen of Pipe Dream is actually pretty interesting because you can kind of see it all kind of happening in the background versus just the 4:3 version. So I don't know. I'd be into this.
Yeah, I would love to get a fretless bass made like made to look like the one from Stick Figures.
I think there was a Blue Man Group quote, I think, on the Wikia that was like, "Oh, we love Animusic," and I'm just imagining like a Blue Man Group-esque performance of that 6 guitar neck table thing.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
We'll have to do the soundtrack at some point too, if that's available.
Yeah, and cover Sound of 12.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You can also cover that Kansas live album, Device Voice Drum.
Yep.
It covers just a little bit of a song that they did, but it's like over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to wrap it up there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, you're like, yeah, and then cut off.
Okay. Well, watch Animusic if you haven't. It's fun to watch. It's a fun product of the times. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And let's go back now to... We kind of went over our favorites, least favorites, all that fun stuff. Did we even say favorites or least favorites for this? I don't think we did.
We didn't.
I like Pipe Dream. I like Aqua Harp. Acoustic Curves had some fun stuff. Pogo Sticks was a cool one on the second one. I like Cathedral Pictures as well. I am curious about the other tracks that are only on the CD.
Yes, that'll be interesting.
Yes,
the album isn't streaming anywhere.
I'm not surprised. It's probably forgotten about.
Yes, but favorites for me: Resonant Chamber off the second, Stick Figures, Pogo Sticks, Heavy Light. I really don't have a least favorite.
Hard to really say a least favorite either as well.
Yeah.
I even like Beyond the Walls. That was cool.
It was.
Okay. And so we've announced we're going to do Barbenheimer, I guess, for the anniversary show.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about because we also said there's another mini-sode coming next week. But in between all of that, we are going to be recording a regular episode.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, let us talk about that.
What are your next regular picks going to be, or pick going to be?
Shit. What the fuck is my cat doing? Sorry, my cat's being a maniac.
Yeah, Ritz has not put anything in the chat yet about what he's picking for the regular next episode.
You know what? I know what I'm going to do. I don't think I've done the album before. We have done another album by them. We're doing Sleep's Holy Mountain.
Sleep's Holy Mountain. Interesting.
Yes. It was the first one on kind of...
You're kind of cutting in and out there. What was that?
It was the first one on my YouTube Music Listen Again that we haven't covered.
How fast did you go through that one?
Like, how fast did I go through looking for it?
Yeah.
I booted up the app, scrolled left, and it was there.
Hell yeah. All right. And that is Sleep's Holy Mountain. That is the full album title.
Yes.
And it is 52 minutes long. Okay, not terrible.
Mm.
However, because we're doing 2 weeks basically, I'm just gonna barrel right ahead into our next Radiohead stuff, and we're gonna do their albums Kid A and Amnesiac together.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say don't listen to the special edition version that came out a couple years ago that combines them all and adds other stuff. Just listen to Kid A and Amnesiac as separate albums. Don't go crazy.
Don't listen to Kid Amnesiac. Got it.
So that's going to be the next regular episode, at least from you and me, Sleep's Holy Mountain and Radiohead's Kid A and Amnesiac. However, for next week, I was thinking, we had a really fun time talking about Random Access Memories. And we did the 10th anniversary edition. And I thought, why don't we just go back and just do the regular version, the vanilla version? Let's just talk about it again.
Yeah, fuck it, sure.
It's like I think having the new version, the old version, kind of covered in the same year. I think that's a fun little thing. I think I'll probably like the old version more. But also realistically, that's not enough to do a full episode on. We need something else.
We do.
And there are other albums that are about 75 minutes long that are having anniversaries this year. And there's one in particular I've been trying to get on the show here and there, but we keep avoiding it.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a sweet, a little bit of a sour. We're gonna do Metallica's Saint Anger as well.
Okay, I'm also going to... Don't have to listen to the whole thing, but just give a quick listen to the version that somebody put on YouTube where they replaced the snare drum with an actual trash can sound.
Okay, so there's like YouTube version of it with the snare drums basically just normal.
Yeah, there's also that too.
Well, what was the part you said? You kind of cut out for that last part.
Somebody did it where they actually just hit an actual trash can lid.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
So next week that means you're gonna be seeing an episode that's all about Daft Punk's Random Access Memories again, but also Metallica's Saint Anger.
Indeed.
Then the next episode you will see will be our Barbenheimer anniversary show. But before that, we'll be recording, and you'll see it after that. That will be Radiohead's Kid A and Amnesiac, and Sleep's Holy Mountain, and something that Ritz has not chosen yet.
Hell yeah.
Well, I've been Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter, or whatever Twitter is going to be called now.
X.com or something like that.
And then it will be changed back within a week.
Hopefully.
Go on YouTube, Dominic Chakotay. If you really want to see my stuff on YouTube, there's not really much to watch. I have a short film beat if you care about that sort of thing. I think it's nifty. I'm also on the Games My Mom Found podcast here and there. Do a lot of Kingdom Hearts chats in the next coming couple years, so stay tuned for those.
I have been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Hive, spray painting tweets onto boxcars.
MySpace.
There is actually a revitalized MySpace I've been looking at and thinking about making a page on, not gonna lie.
Hell yeah. Just collect them all.
Yeah, like fucking infinity stones of social networks except Threads. Fuck Threads.
Yeah, Threads. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, I don't want to give any more of my information to Meta.
Fair enough.
Follow Dissonant Waves on Twitter. By the time this comes out, Dissonant Waves will have a Blue Sky account. Check out our YouTube channel, buy our merch, buy our clock, website, all that.
Have you been on the Redbubble? Has anyone bought anything yet?
I have not. I don't think anybody has bought anything.
Someone should.
I will. I'm going to buy the clock, I think.
I want either the puzzle or a shirt.
Well, I did make the special Dominic version of the shirt.
Oh, that's true. I need to get both shirts then.
Because you wanted the version with the little circle in the center.
That, and then I wanted the saying, the British Horse Jumper of Montreal episode art.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one's there too.
That's also one of our most popular episodes. It just keeps climbing.
Yeah, it's weird that someday one of us might just be scrolling like the corners of the internet and just see that there and fucking lose our minds.
Like, British Horse Jumper of Montreal episode 16 is currently the 11th most watched episode.
My favorite Minecraft fan song, the Ali X one, finally has 1 view.
Yes. And it's actually
that was sitting at no.
Yes, it was sitting at nothing.
That was sitting at no view for a while.
Our 10th most popular episode is actually the other Horse Jumper of Love episode.
Hell yeah.
For some reason, Horse Jumper of Love gets us attention. Janelle Monáe gets us attention. I don't know why.
Hell yeah.
That's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a wonderful time of your life.
I hope you had the time of your life.